Oh, do you say Lego or do you say Legos?
Lego.
Okay.
They are plural Legos. Why?
Well, no, plural.
Technically, Lego is the plural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
sheep and sheep. There's a sheep and there's some sheep, right? Yeah.
I did used to say Legos all the time, though.
Yeah. I got schooled recently
No,
by
I just say Lego.
another podcast, and I was like, wow, now I can be extra pretentious in this area that nobody needs to be pretentious about.
I guess I would only say it in a possessive, like, no, I guess.
My Lego bring all the boys to the yard, that kind of way.
Sure.
Solid. Okay, Nathan, you want to roll us in?
Sure.
Solid.
You're listening to the Janchi Show, hosted by 3 Korean American adoptees diving headfirst into what it means to be adopted, Korean American, and more. And now, here's your hosts, Nathan, Patrick, and KJ.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show. This
Thank you.
is a solo episode as Patrick starts taking a photo of my backdrop.
For posterity.
Hooray.
Yeah, for blackmail.
For posterity.
We
I
are
just-
the Janchi Show. We are clapping in a loop continuously
It's
for
fine.
ourselves.
Such is
okay.
life.
That loop likes to pop on you.
It does.
For some
I
reason.
don't know how to control it. Hi, my name is KJ. If you're a first time
And
listener.
I'm Nathan.
And I am
That's
Patrick.
Patrick over there.
For first-time listeners.
First,
Yes.
If
for
this is your
time.
first episode, welcome. I
Yeah.
appreciate you jumping in at the end.
Yeah, that is true. Because we are not always a solo show. We are an interview show.
They don't even know that
sometimes.
it's a solo
And
show
sometimes
yet.
I know. Well, I know I said it was a solo show, but
Oh, you did?
yeah, but it's okay. We are in episode 86 here, and we are a show about Korean adoption and about culture and about food and about community and about relationships and about social media and culture, history,
You're putting us in all kinds of buckets.
language. We have a lot of buckets, don't we?
Mm.
We reach into a
Uh,
lot we I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't
I
see
wouldn't
buckets.
say we own the buckets. We just reach
No,
into them.
we reach into the buckets, but from the lens of Korean American adoptees who are
Yes.
straight and male and between the ages of 18 and 57.
So if
Yeah,
you are
between
one
the
of
ages
those,
of adulthood
welcome.
and retirement.
Yeah, exactly.
So
But yeah, we. What do you guys?
Nathan, what are we talking about
What are you guys
today?
doing? I don't know. What are we talking about? Other than my
I was just
Lego
gonna let you
background.
go.
that
I was just gonna
started
let you
to-
go with it. See where you
Let
went.
me go. I don't know where
Yeah.
I'm going. I'm happy that as long as my computer doesn't shut off in the middle of this, I'm happy. So,
sure.
Sure. Right.
but what about you guys? I know it's spring. We've talked about that. It's getting warmer. You guys,
I feel like it should technically be we're on the cusp of summer, but it's still snowing in
It's-
Indiana,
yeah.
which I mentioned last time.
It was 30 degrees this morning when I left the house, so it still feels like winter to me.
I mean, yeah, it's almost May. So that's exciting, I guess. Sarah has a big event where we're getting all dressed up this weekend when this episode
Mm.
drops, which is exciting. I rented a tux from Not Men's Warehouse, learned that lesson. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, but we should also say a big congratulations to you, homeowner KJ and Sarah.
Oh, yes. Thank
So,
you.
yes.
I have a home.
Where's the
Hooray.
soundboard applause?
He doesn't want to applaud himself.
He doesn't want to
which
applaud
understandable.
himself.
Humble.
Yeah, maybe it
Humble
should be
clap.
more like, I own a home now.
Yeah. That is.
Welcome to
That
Eternal
is the
Fixing.
comedy part of it.
So yeah, I don't know. It's
Repairs.
exciting, but also like hard. It's just a lot of decisions. It's more of a fixer than we thought. So we're like, we can do anything. We're like, oh no, we can do anything. So we're like, what if the colors don't look good? You know, I don't know.
Color matching. No
Doesn't
fun.
matter. Your taste may change in 3 years anyway. So and fixing is an ongoing process. So
Don't tell me that.
I
All
was like, what is that sound?
That's
I'm like,
just
you're
the
getting
long,
Nathan, we're getting some feedback from
That's
you.
the
yeah, sorry.
that's the long belabored exhale of a happy homeowner.
You just have to accept it. You know,
No,
it's
yeah,
part of
we're-
adulting.
We're
So-
incredibly grateful, honestly.
Yeah.
The whole process has been quite serendipitous. So yeah, we're really grateful and happy to have this opportunity and to have the means to capitalize on it. So yeah.
Awesome.
Switching to something that I want to talk about today, we have recently, Sarah and I have just recently started Woke. Well, actually just finished Woke on Hulu with Lamorne Morris, who you may know as Winston Bishop from New Girl. I'm sure he's done other stuff, but I don't know what else he's been in. But yeah, it was really good. And I remember seeing it on Hulu probably close to 2020. And when I noticed it, I was like, this is a lot. I can't deal with a comedy situation that's so close to real pain and tragedy. So I just like had it on the back burner. But then I watched it and I was like, gosh, this is so funny. And the conceit of the show is basically this black cartoonist named oh no, I don't even remember his name. Whatever.
Oh no.
The character that Lamorne Morris plays, he's a black cartoonist. Oh, Keith Knight, that's what it is just out there living life, is doing great, whatever, just makes light cartoons, and then gets assaulted by the police and is mistaken as a he fits the description of the criminal, which is a 6-foot black man. And so he has this racial awakening, right? The self-racialization. And the reason I bring it up is, and this is all in the pilot, when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is exactly how I felt when I self-racialized. And it's like, it's comedy. And so it plays a little bit differently. Obviously it's from a black man's perspective and not a transracial adoptee perspective, but I think there's a lot of analogs there. So yeah, I was just like, man, this is really good. And then it moves on into some like really good, I feel like it does a good job of intersectional conversation. So would encourage you to watch it. It's eight episodes per season. Season 2 just dropped. But listeners, if you have seen Woke, I've already pre-talked to my co-hosts and know that neither of them have seen it. But if you've seen Woke, you should definitely message me about it or go watch it if you're a transracial adoptee. Especially, I think if you're somebody who doesn't know how to explain what it feels like to self-racialize. I don't know. Like now that we're some time removed from our own self-racialization, can you describe what it feels like better than you previously could, like when it was immediately happening to you?
Well, I wanted to ask you a question first that might be able to actually help me answer this question. You said that when you watched the show, it made you feel, or you felt the same way when you self-racialized. I was wondering if you could kind of a little bit elaborate on how that was that you felt when you were going through that process, if you kind of remember, or if I guess you can extrapolate out from the show.
Yeah. So Keith Knight gets assaulted by a police officer, and then they're like, oh, this is the wrong guy. But then he just like has this whole moment, and then the world comes alive and like starts talking to him, like inanimate objects start talking to him, and using, like AAVE and all that kind of stuff. And he's just like he's a pretty, for lack of a better term, like a white black guy, just like he's like very much like, I don't know, I don't see color, like why is everything got to be about like race and struggle with us? Like why can't a cartoonist just be, a cartoonist and whatever, like that kind of thing. And so but then he's like, well, it's inescapable, right? And so he just kind of like, season 1 is just him like tripping basically about what it means to be a black man in America. And I just remember like were specific moments of points of trauma, really seeing it in social media that are hard for me to talk about, and just like they're just like a lot, going back to that time. And I remember feeling like, shoot, I've got to do something. And so instead of like these inanimate voices talking to me, like I was a crazy person, I actually sought out those voices, but just like kind of gathering all those things and those perspectives, diversifying my own feed. And now, coming full circle, we talked about a couple of weeks ago about like how I'm just like so bored with a white perspective, and how reading more books and things from other people's perspective is just way more enriching to my life and helps me think critically about who I am. It's just really, really nice. But it's hard to be like, I suddenly realize that I am neither white nor Asian American, and yet looking Asian American and trying to scramble and find those things. So yeah, it just felt like, it felt like a free fall, and just kind of grabbing at different things, to try to help break my fall and like find some type of place to anchor myself and like start to rebuild who I was. But it definitely felt like a huge identity deconstruction, like just a straight up wrecking ball crash through the inner workings of my soul and brain. So that's what it felt like for me, I guess. So
the best kinds. The best kinds.
I don't know. I don't know that anybody having a wrecking ball going through your body is pleasant. So,
yeah, I mean, when I look back on when I was first started all of this, I definitely could not articulate what it was that I was going through. I knew that it was like, hey, I have no idea about Asian anything. And I want to know more. And I guess in that way, it was more of like a curiosity about like, just because I look this way, it's like, oh, maybe I should learn a little bit more than just the surface of what this means. But I don't think at the time I definitely wouldn't have been able to say I'm self-racializing. Because when I was growing up, I think, and I've talked about this in Jerry's podcast or on Dear Asian Americans, that, I was really reluctant, obviously, to approach those spaces. And I'm forgetting what I was going to say. Anyways, I think it's because it's such a point of trauma, my brain like moves around it. But because it was like so difficult to get into it, and then the way I do things is like jump full bore when curiosity takes hold, and it like becomes that fire. It goes from spark to flame. I think that it was just a lot, and I think all of the information at once was really hard to kind of sort through. Like you said, you're grasping, you're falling, and you're grasping at whatever you can to try and hold on. And I think as having the same realization as you, that I'm not neither white nor am I fully Asian American in the way that I want to be. And I just recently was listening to Feeling Asian, and Yeji was the guest. She is a Korean American DJ, and she was talking about how when she goes home to Korea for a long time, when she would go back and stay with her family, wherever she was at, like she would be surrounded by things that reminded her of her teenage years, and feeling kind of really stuck in that mindset, and she said something that really stuck with me and has really stuck with me the last couple of weeks. She said, I realized I needed to redefine what Korea means for me as an adult, as current me. And it really hit me because I was like, I've been looking at Korea, even after doing all of this and thinking about myself, even as an Asian American and a Korean American, through like that lens of whiteness, through this internalization still, even after being on this journey. And not even that, but as like this infantilized view of Korea and what it means to be Korean, I think. And I mean infantilized in the way that I've always thought about Korea the same. And while that started to change a little bit, I've always thought about it as I thought about it as a kid, which was like, I was born there and I look like Korean people, I guess. And that's about it. And, even as I've moved forward in this process, I think I've still been looking at it like that because that's the definition I've always worked from. And so when I heard her say, I need to redefine what it means for me, I think it clicked in my head that I needed to kind of start really shifting my perspective away from how I've always based it in terms of how I've been thinking about myself as a Korean and as Asian American, and thinking about Korea in general, and thinking about how all of that history lives within me, and defining it on the terms that I am now, as in I do accept myself as an Asian American and as a Korean person, and I do accept myself as having gone through this process of having all of that stripped away from me, but still being a part of that community, despite those things being being separate for such a long time. And so I think when I talk about self-racializing now, and knowing that I didn't have the language then, I think I'm just better able to articulate, or maybe not. Maybe I'm very long-winded and it takes me a minute to get to the point. But I think that I don't know. I feel comfortable sharing about it. And every time that I talk about my journey, I think I'm always processing that information in real time, which is I really like about the podcast, because it allows me to walk from A to B and get there, even if I have to waste a few people's time in the process. So thanks for sitting here. Thanks for listening to me. I hope that answered your question.
This is where we get paid the big bucks, is to sit here and listen to you ramble.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I hope that made sense, but
it did. Actually, I took a lot of points from what you just said. A few things. I'm going to try to remember all of the things I was going to say about it, but
sorry.
I can't go back and like think of all the points. But the first point, I guess, is for me kind of answering I guess KJ's question. I'd be curious if in the series Woke, the thing that made him become woke, I guess, which I hate using that word like that, but I don't know why. I just feel so young. Like it's like out of place for me to use that word.
That's okay. It's kind of out of place for people who are woke to use woke now. It's
okay.
like
right.
It's taken on
overdone
a whole
now. Good.
It's a whole thing.
So I don't feel so bad. But it was a traumatic experience. It was something that that did awaken him in a way that because of this incident. I don't know if that's the case for a lot of transracial adoptees. If something happens that like sparks like this journey or this out of the fog or this thing that's all of a sudden like boom, I need to go discover this. I'm awoke about
I am awoken.
I'm awoken about my culture or what I want to find.
Unlimited power.
Oh wait, that's the wrong kind of woke.
That's a different.
Yeah. So, but I'm curious. I mean, mine specifically was just kind of a gradual started getting into the documentaries, and then really when I found my biological family, I think that really was the trigger for me to start diving into it more, talking about it more. And then, of course, our podcast has really given me that a little more voice, a little more ability to talk about it. And it makes me feel more comfortable talking about it, which I really appreciate. And I'm very happy to talk about it now to anybody, honestly. Secondary, the Asian American feeling. I wonder, I feel the most like Asian American when I was in Korea. When I was actually there, I felt Asian American.
That makes sense because you're feeling the American.
Right.
Yeah, and so here, I think you're right. I don't feel as Asian American or Korean American. I do feel like still confused on I'm Korean, but over the last few years, I feel more of that. I feel more awareness that I am Korean. I feel more that identity that I think was missing 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And I don't know if it's because we talk about it so much, because I'm hearing more stories, because, I see you guys and we, every week and we're talking about these topics now. It's like kind of taken over my, your
brain hole,
my brain hole. So I appreciate that because I do feel fuller. I feel more confident in talking about it. And I feel, like some missing puzzle pieces have been found. So. That's about it. I won't ramble.
Oh, you're not going to go for another 5 minutes like I did? You just got to keep extrapolating and extrapolating and extrapolating. And eventually you tie it all back together.
Yeah,
I resonate with... Oh,
sorry. No, you go for it.
No, you go.
I was just going to say... Well, no, because I'm looking for the thing. But I recently posted on a subreddit for adoption that was like, hey... my significant other and I are both adopted, but one was adopted by white parents and the other, they're both, I think, Chinese. And so one was adopted like within the family and the other was adopted by white parents. And so the one who was adopted within the family was like, I don't know how to help my significant other, like get connected and all those things. And basically I just said like, you just have to be in spaces where you can talk about this and be in spaces where you can practice using the language and like be okay existing in this weird in between. Because I think it's important that we practice using the language, and it's gonna feel uncomfortable until it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like I think it's learning any new language. You just have to practice it, and you can know the vocab words, and you can know how the sentence is structured, and all those kinds of things. But once you start actually practicing speaking it, like hearing words come out of your mouth and then receiving words into your ear holes, like that's the part that gives you that comfort. That's the part that helps you get over the imposter syndrome. That's what I recommended. I don't know if that was good advice, but
I think it is. Well, you have to move. Again, I think I've been mentioning this more and more, just on the podcast, but just based on everything that I'm learning and reading. But you have to really sit in the discomfort to achieve like that true comfort, because you have to address and confront like your biases and your prejudices and things that you think might be right, but are or potentially are wrong. And you have to be willing to admit fault and admit that you have things to learn. And I think going through that journey and that process, it lays the foundation for it for you to find that true comfort within the spaces that you find yourselves in. And that starts by putting yourself in those spaces and utilizing that language. So I think I just repeated literally everything you just said, just in slightly different words. So, but that's just me using the language. It's just me using the language.
A good comparison, actually. Now, that sparks something that I always learned, because I've always been big in, playing sports and stuff. One of the things I remember I did for myself was I always wanted to play people better than me. I always wanted to lose. Like, losing in a sport helped me learn.
Okay, but you wanted to lose?
You didn't want to lose. But if you lost, you were okay.
Yeah, it was more along the lines of you can't get better without losing or without a struggle or without a challenge. But if you're just playing people that are, that aren't as good, you're not going to learn as fast. And so same thing in a way that, if you're not talking about it, you're not going to learn as fast. If you're not reading about it or looking for, sources, material or things like that. So all these things are, again, like you said, get out there. And that's,
right.
What I feel. I think that's what we're doing. I hope that's what everyone else is doing, if you're ready.
Well, it's just like we talked about before, who's creating spaces or who's creating stuff for like us, the community. And yeah, that's what that is. It's just, again, spaces for people to be able to sit in things and conversations that they probably aren't having very often. And I will say that, it made me think of that because Angela Tucker, she is a Black transracial adoptee at Angie Adoptee on Instagram, but his does a lot of work in this space. She's launching something new about mentorship that looks really cool. And so I'm excited to see where that goes. But just made me think of that because I know we just recently talked about, who's doing what and where are those things that are for us.
Right. Didn't you have something to talk about too, Patrick?
I don't know. I just felt like we moved past the point of transition into that story. So I just felt like we were going to go in a different direction. But I didn't really know what else we were going to talk about.
I don't think so. I think that there's a lot around self-racializing and understanding who you are as your race.
Sure.
That I think bundles into experiencing somebody speaking another language. It's weird. I've had this moment today, actually, where I was watching Dear White People on Netflix, and this fire track comes on at the credits. So I was like, yo, what is this? What is the song? And it's Bilingue by, I don't even know the artist's name. But anyways, it's in English and Spanish. And it's got this like reggaeton backbeat and stuff. It's just like, it's so well produced and I really get it. And there's just been a lot of language and things that are wrapped in my brain around abundance and celebration, rejecting assimilation, living into these in-between spaces. And like, again, I was just like, man, if I was to make a song or do a thing, like there's something about like Spanish that just makes sense in my brain, probably because I grew up with it the most besides English, but I wish that was true of Korean. And then I'm like, man, maybe I should get back into learning Korean. And I don't know, man, that's my whole journey with languages. Like I just love learning languages, whether they're spoken languages or like computer languages. But yeah, I don't know. So I'm just like, man, I wish I was better at language. I don't know.
That's one of the first things I feel like we learned about you is your love of language. And also that you study really hard for 1 week of the year. And then
it's like
I feel like that's what you said in the first step.
It's anywhere from like 2 weeks to if it's really good, like 3 months, and then I'm done.
But then it always fires back up. Yeah.
And how well you retain that information though and soak it in compared to myself, I would say. I feel like my the whole you can't teach an old dog new tricks is definitely relevant.
Hey, don't be ageist, okay? You're not an old dog. You're just a dog.
You're just a dog.
I can't do it.
We don't see age on the show.
I want to learn it, but I don't want to.
We can't see people's ages on the show.
I mean, that's true. It's not like we're, putting it up.
That's true. All right. Well, I mean, I guess on the topic of language, and feeling, I don't know, I guess I was talking to someone recently about feelings of like inadequacy around it's still just in like predominantly Asian spaces that aren't like adoptee frequented. But as I think I've mentioned on the podcast, I've been playing basketball with a group of guys, and most of them are Chinese. And we were playing the other day, and I have no idea what happened, but words started to be exchanged. And things got heated. It got heated on the court. I can tell you that the game had to be stopped because the heat got turned up so high.
These actually matches, like actual.
They are basketball matches.
No, but I mean, is it like
two teams swiped right on each other?
Yeah. No, yeah, it's just pickup. Yeah, so we play
pickup games.
5-on-5 full court to 12.
Sure.
By ones and twos, 1 by 2.
Got it.
Little inside baseball for you about how we play basketball.
A little inside baseball about basketball.
Yeah. Anyways, so these guys were arguing, and they're arguing in Mandarin. And I have, again, both of the guys that are fighting were on my team, mind you. And I'm trying to like step in the middle of everyone, and there's probably like 17, 18 people there. So there were people on the sides who got in between them and everything. And they're just going back and forth. And I'm trying to like figure out what's going on. And I just can't understand what they're saying because I don't speak Mandarin. And it hit me in that moment that a few things hit me. One, I was sad I was upset. I was mad at myself because I couldn't step in and help and to diffuse the situation. Two, I was sad because I couldn't understand what the problem was. The issue was just because of a language barrier. And three, on top of two, so it's probably like 2A. I was further saddened because it made me realize what adoption specifically had taken from me. And that's not my adoptive parents. They did not take this from me. Just to clarify, which I feel like I shouldn't have to do, but I'm going to do it anyways. But adoption as a whole, when I was displaced essentially from Korea, was that like loss of language, and the fact that I will never ever be fluent enough in that way to kind of be like passing, like you talked about earlier about when you're in Korea, you felt the most Korean American, always feeling that regardless of wherever I go, just from a language perspective. But it just like, and I don't know, it just really dawned on me in that moment that I was just lacking all of this. And also, and the other reason I think that I felt, maybe reason 3 of why I felt sad was the fact that I have been trying to get into learning the language. And it's just really been really tough for me to like sit down and focus and like start to study and really get into it. And for whatever reason, I think this moment hopefully will be a catalyst for that. But I told my fellow co-host that I had went out and made some flashcards and was going to really try to get into it. And so, thank you. I
just wanted to express my feelings about you making flashcards.
I appreciate that because I really did feel like down. And I almost texted you guys that day. It was a Saturday. And was like, hey, I need an impromptu recording session if you're available because I want to talk about this. Because it really was like affecting me all day. And I had like a big meeting and all kinds of stuff happening. And I was just kept thinking about that. Like, I was so far removed from that experience that I just could not step in and help. And like, am I ever going to get there? And maybe I can at some point, but I'm not there today. And then it just made me think in hindsight of everything that I've lost, and just that because of how much I internalized my surroundings growing up, how much I didn't want to learn that for a long time. And now that I do, it's like, we got a lot of ground to make up. So I was going to ask both of you if you ever had any of those moments, where you felt, where you heard the language, or it doesn't even have to be Korean, but just any language where it made me like triggered some of that thought of like, man, I wish, or I lost this, or I really want to learn this. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, though, back to your statement too, they were talking Mandarin, not Korean, so you shouldn't definitely not feel bad.
Right. Well, yeah, but I don't know. It just made me, just being surrounded by other Asian people, hearing them speak an Asian-based language was just like, it was just very triggering in that moment. It
could have been Korean and it would have been the same feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it could have been Korean. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah. I just the fact of people speaking in other languages and not knowing what they're saying, especially if it's a heated argument and if it's a situation where you want to help. Yeah, that I would feel bad about that too. I would want to help. I'd always want to. I wish I knew every language, honestly. Let's learn 20 languages or something, and that would be great. It's something that if I could, wish for and snap my fingers, I totally would.
That would be great.
That would be amazing. But as far as not knowing the Korean language and feeling kind of sad about that, the biggest one was actually when I was in Korea with my my biological siblings, and they were touring me around on the east coast of Korea. And, I didn't have a translator with us. So the entire 3 days I was with them, we were translating through an app on our phone. And of course, that's about, I would say, 80%, if that, accurate. And so a lot of the times things were getting lost and a lot of things were not easily translated. And there was one moment when they were trying to tell me something about either what we were doing that day or just about the environment that we were seeing, and what, like, we were going to go to the top of the mountains the following day, and then that we were on the sea, the EC. So they were trying to tell me all this stuff, but it just wasn't coming out. So they called this phone number, and I don't remember what it was, but I think it was like a tourism phone number of maybe the local tourist office. And there was an English speaker on there, or a translator, and they started talking to that person in Korean first. And then they handed me the phone, and the person said, "Oh, hello." And she starts talking in English, like, "Your brother wants me to tell you that if you have any questions, you can ask me." And it just felt so interesting. I don't know. Like they were trying so hard to talk to me that they resorted to calling the tourist hotline, just so the tourist person could talk to me and make me, give me some information or answer any questions that I had. Maybe I was asking too many questions to them or something, and that was the reason why they did it. But I felt really bad and then at that point I was like, sure. I'm like, I was not going to ask this tourist line person like personal questions. It was more along the lines of like, oh, where are we? What is this mountain? What is the significance? So I just kind of asked some basic questions, but then that was about it. And I was like, I think that's about it. I'm good. And I felt really guilty that happened. I really had wished I had known more Korean at that time so that I could communicate with them. So, but it was also, a very quick thing, dropped on me that I didn't even know my entire itinerary before I even landed in Korea. So there was really no time for me to research where we were even going. But yeah, so that was my
that would definitely be tough.
Yeah,
that would definitely be tough.
So my thing with language, I talked about it kind of before, but okay, so the song is Bilingue by Snow the Product. And
not Snow the rapper.
there's this line that she writes. It says, "I ha ha con jota, ha 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 with the J. I speak English and Spanish. I'm bilingual all day." And I was just like, man, that's the level that I wish I could get to with, I mean, English with, not English, but with like Spanish, with Korean, like that level of playfulness with language. Like we talk, I think generally the people know about like gender fluidity and kind of what that means. And so I think extending that into just general identity fluidity, right? That represents a liquidity that is just like really fun and playful. And I know that she's an artist and, you know, those kinds of things, but like that level, or even watching, oh shoot, I don't remember what it's called. The movie that's set in New York about is it Happy Cleaners? Is that what it's called?
Happy Endings?
No.
Happy Cleaners.
Yeah, right. The Korean American movie.
Yeah.
Like the indie film. So watching that, like, and watching the siblings interact and like English, but then throwing in like these Korean bits or whatever, just like, and I'm getting there kind of, but it's just like that part of the language that really pushes me to learn more, because I think in that in particular represents a level of mastery, or at least fluency with what you know, maybe not like general language mastery, but mastery with what you know that like allows for that kind of thing. And Nathan, to your point, I think like it's important for me, like I wish that I knew, like I know enough about how language works for German or Romance languages, and now kind of Korean, and because of the grammar, maybe Japanese, I don't know, that I could like maybe have very basic conversations with heavy pointing, like about, you know, just simple things that don't matter. But that's, yeah, because I think.
Hello?
Sorry.
Oh,
my phone rarely ever goes off.
That sounded like a landline.
It is his landline. Remember, he has one down there.
Yeah.
I don't know you had a landline.
Yeah, went off one other time.
Only.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna pause for this emergency. But why was somebody calling you, though?
It was probably like a spam call or something.
It was a 1-800 number.
Okay.
It's the only numbers that call us. Because we've never given the phone number out.
Fair. Okay. Yeah. But I think that there's something just in the ability to communicate that is intrinsic to humans, right? It's part of social dynamics, right? And the idea right. of understanding and communicating and belonging and all those things. And so I think that, yeah, probably that's what's trapped up in us, is like, oh man, I wish that I could communicate effectively. I wish that I could talk good with other people, you know? So,
well, I think that was the larger point too of why I just felt that overarching sadness, is because, again, like, I think it just made me realize, as like an inter-country transracial adoptee, what was taken from me, or what I lost through no fault of my own. Mm-hmm. And the language was the trigger to make me think about everything, you know, that's gone by the wayside for 30 odd years. So, yeah, because because it would be great to be able to bounce back and forth and to be able to feel fully, or at least feel more a part of the communities of each community than I have felt before. You know, I feel a lot better now than I did even a year ago, but it was just a stark reminder that, you know, I and all transracial intercountry adoptees have lost some things.
Yeah.
Fun episode.
Fun episode to edit.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
Just leave it all in.
Deep topic.
Just leave it all in.
Just leave it all in.
I'm not. Your listeners, you don't know what we're talking about, but
that's great podcasting.
You know, it's just this is the inside baseball of podcasting.
The inside podcasting of baseball.
We're
I'm gonna start saying that.
Gonna jump into a very fun food item now that I can't wait to experience. But we got to go cook it, so we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna try some ramen again.
Again.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show eating portion, or
Mokja.
Not to be confused with mukbang or other eating shows, cooking shows. We cooked for this one.
We did. That's true.
Rarity. It was a rarity.
It's actually not, though. I was thinking ramen is probably the most commonly eaten product on this show. We've had it like a number of times now.
That's true. We have had it
That is true.
3 or 4 times at
but
least.
This one is different, Patrick. Tell us why this one is different.
This is carbonara style. And I don't know anything more about it.
Carbonara is typically
cheese,
the Italian with cheese, bacon, and like peas. It's a creamier sauce. This still has, because this is by Buldak, the brand that makes the really, really spicy ramen. This one is probably a spicy version of the carbonara. That's what I'm assuming. But
well, it seems like it's just their regular spicy one, but then they just added cheese
powder.
Yeah,
they took out the flakes and then put cheese powder in.
Right. It was very reminiscent of like a mac and cheese powder that when I was.
Oh yeah, I thought this was 100% going to be like a mac and cheese.
Right. So all right, let's try it.
Oh, weird.
Wow.
Yep, that's hot.
It's definitely spicy. That's like the first thing I taste. I don't taste cheese. I just taste spice.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't really taste the cheese either. It just tastes like really hot ramen.
But it's a little creamier though, right? It's a tad.
It's definitely creamier.
I guess
it's
a little creamier.
I'm gonna get a napkin.
Hot ramen. So, I got plenty of napkins for me. On top of that, I actually my wife brought me some aqua frescas. So I got some strawberry cream stuff here if this gets too hot.
I think actually, probably chances are, because you didn't remain 8 tablespoons, it's more spicy and less creamy. Because like mine looks to be the lightest of the 3 of ours, and mine tastes, fairly cheesy.
You're fairly cheesy.
It needed the liquid to activate it.
I want the heat.
It's still
as hot as possible.
Yeah, we remember from your Hot Ones challenge. I just watched another episode of that recently, and I thought of you.
Great show.
Well,
Sean Evans.
Never seen an episode.
Well, don't listen to him. Sean Evans, don't listen to him if you're listening to this. Have me on, though.
Show.
One of my number 1 goals before I die is get on that show.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And I don't know why you'd want to do it.
I got to do it for real. Not that I didn't do it for real last time with Hannah, but
yeah, I was gonna say that looked pretty.
I want
to
do it on the show.
You looked like you were in real pain. That looked real.
Oh, you thought it was bad then? Have you guys, the following day?
So this is the carbonara. Have you had real carbonara?
I make carbonara.
You do. Okay.
It's really simple, because it's basically just egg and Parmesan cheese.
Uh-huh. That's right. There's usually egg in it too, right? Yeah.
I almost made an egg to put in this.
That's the sauce. It's an egg, Parmesan cheese, and then it's cooked in like bacon grease.
Yeah.
And so it's a really simple recipe, which is great if you want to feel fancy but don't know how to cook super fancy things. So yeah, I wonder if this isn't like powdered eggs that get activated with water, and so that's kind of like the combination that makes it happen. Maybe not.
Yeah, actually, I didn't
but
read the ingredients.
Just tore it open. I was busy making the food. I think this is not super spicy, and it's mostly just like temperature wise, because we are trying to cook and eat in a
I think it's mostly the heat of the temperature.
Yeah, so it's just
I'm going to go with the spice level, though, compared to the other one that we had, the other Buldak. That one was really spicy. That was probably, for me, like a 6 or 7. And I feel like this is more like a 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a little cool. It's still spicy, but it's a little. It's not as intense as the other Buldak that we've had.
But yeah, but if we're like talking about Shin ramen. Yeah, ramyun. That one's more like a 3, I would say 3 or 4. But yeah, no, this is good. I like the creaminess to it. I feel like I want bacon in it though.
I am mad I don't have more of these.
You like that one? So you like that one?
Maybe I'll start throwing some. Maybe I'll start throwing some. I can't even think or talk. Yeah, Parmesan cheese.
So
and bacon grease.
I did a video about that actually. So there's the cheese ramen that's going around where you make a cheese sauce in the pan, and then you cook your ramen too, and then you throw your ramen in the cheese sauce with the spice packet, and essentially it makes a cheesy, spicy ramen. And it was pretty good. It was less hot than this and more cheesy.
And you did a video about this?
Yeah, I did a TikTok on it, or I posted it on Facebook. Sorry, you're not on Facebook.
I don't have Facebook.
Yeah, I know. I did a video. I can send it to you if you want to see it.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, actually, I do want to see what that looks like. You should send that to me. Ooh, I finished mine, fellas. How are you feeling about it?
I can't believe
I'm still working on it.
one.
I wish I would have made a second package. I got more. I got no gritty right now.
You can eat 2 packages of ramen.
Oh, Goose, you best get out of my backyard or I'm coming down there and fighting you.
Wow.
Yeah, fly away.
Way to go.
These birds that live around our
Big
house.
man, you tell that goose.
No way, I'm terrified of geese. That geese would F me up to my death. You ever been hissed at by a goose?
The comfort of your house.
You ever been hissed at by a goose?
Do they hiss?
Yeah, they go. I open their beaks real wide, and then their tongue sticks out, and they go. It's terrible. It's terrifying.
Wow.
And then they'll start sprinting at you with their wings flapping out like this.
That doesn't sound fun.
It's not. I've been chased by a goose
you seem like the kind of guy
times.
that would like big yourself up and fight back.
Absolutely
like spread
not.
out your wings and scream at them.
Absolutely not. It's all for show. All my bravado for show. A moment's notice, I will flee from danger. From birds.
Once the cameras are turned off.
Yeah, when the cameras are off. Yeah, I guess if there was a camera pointing at me, I would confront that bird. But if there are no cameras, I'm running away.
Well, a note to self, I'm recording you next time a bird comes around. Because that could be some funny
I'm not
stuff.
joking. I've seen geese like go after dogs and stuff. It's wild. Like, they are not
they're
nice.
super mean.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. So instead of letting everyone listen to us eat the entire package, what do you rate it there, Mr. Patrick?
I already ate my package. But I'm giving this, I like the cheese edition. I'm going to give it a 5. I think it's a good spice level. I think the cheese brings an additional flavor to the palate. Yeah, I think it's solid. I'm a big ramen fan anyways, so it's hard for me to give it anything less than high marks.
Yeah. No, I agree. I like the fact that the creaminess adds to it because I remember the last Buldak that we had was just spicy and kind of garlicky. I feel it didn't have some of this creamy flavor to it. This one does. I will give this one. I'm not going to go that high. I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5. Just because my mouth is on fire right now. So
I like that Buldak was like, hey, our packages are normally black, which makes you think, okay, beware. There's a heat level. They're like, if we just slap some cheese in this, make it a pink package, nobody will know.
Pink.
Yeah.
Hot pink. Nobody will think that it's
it'll
spicy.
Seem very innocent. Yeah. Just have some. It's fine. You'll be okay.
Oh man.
Nah, it's still hot.
Yeah.
KJ's wiping his brow.
Intense nose sweat. Which usually means it's spicy,
really
which is definitely spicy, but I think it's also just, again, the temperature. But like my packet kind of broke apart, so it's hard for me to finish it off. And I was like, oh, maybe I could like just drink this, but it's that would be a mistake.
Too hot. Burn your throat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm less worried about my throat and more worried about my tummy and later parts of my body.
Sure.
But it's really good. I think I would give it a 4.25. It's like, I think the cheese is more novel to me. It's also got this like, I don't know what it is, dried parsley or something in it. That makes it feel quote Italian. But it's not, I mean, it's like, it's fine. It's ramen with cheese and I don't know.
Yeah. It is just,
I think my thing is like, I am less impressed overall with Buldak than I am with Shin Ramyun. Like, and maybe that's my own nostalgia because Shin Ramyun was my first with Korean people. And I'm like, oh, this one's the good one. But
sure.
Yeah. I don't know if it, and maybe it's the noodles, maybe, I don't know. So I think overall 4.25, it's pretty good. it's novel, but I wouldn't like go seek it out necessarily. I would actually rather just have shinramyun with like my own zhuzhing. I don't need a company to zhuzh my ramen for me. So
with a powder zhuzher.
Yeah, I don't need powdered zhuzh. I'd rather have my own zhuzh.
Yeah, make it with the real cheese. Try that out because that's what I did last time, and it was like I said, it was pretty good.
With just like shredded cheddar cheese.
Yeah, like
shredded cheddar cheese, some butter, some milk, and then you add the spice packet into that to make like a spicy, creamy cheese, and then you throw the cooked ramen in it, and you just mix it all together, and it's like really good.
Mix it all together, and you got the best of both worlds.
Both worlds.
On that note,
for all my Hannah Montana fans out
guys,
there,
go find some Buldak. There's other flavors too. There's a lot of different flavors. So,
what's your favorite other flavor than regular? Because that's everyone's favorite flavor, right?
I like the curry flavor.
The curry.
That sounds good. I never had the curry one.
Really?
You sure?
I know we had it on the show.
Yeah, I was gonna say
we did the curry one on the show.
Not on the show, but I gave you a packet of it when we left the Janchi Live last year. Because I bought some in LA.
Well, this is embarrassing. Anyways, you can find us at the Janchi Show, wherever we want to be found on social media. You can send us an email, thejanchishow@justLikeMedia.com. You could leave us a voicemail at 972-677-8867.
You got it.
Woohoo! Memory. Woo-hoo! All alone in the midnight, in the moonlight, I mean. You can go to janchishow.com/support to find out how you can support the show. That is really, really important and means a lot to us. And you can find us individually on our social handles, which are at KJ Relke, wherever I want to be found on the internet.
At Nowalk on Instagram.
And at Patrick in the World, also on Instagram.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm talking like that.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope that you enjoyed it. Please take a moment and tell your friend or friends
or friends.
Singular.
Friends
one friend.
about how good the show is and why they should listen to it, because everybody should listen to it because we think it's good. And that's how we help spread the word and amplify our own voices. Anyways, that's it for the show. Until next week, Janchi Heyo.
Bye.